Welcome to Inspirational Journeys, everyone. My name is Ann Harrison, and today I am very pleased to have my special guest, Jeff. And you're going to have to pronounce your last name because I will botch it up.
That is Leisawitz.
Leisawitz. Okay, yeah, because it's one of those interesting names. Okay, so welcome to the show, Jeff.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Right. Well, I am currently, among other things, a life coach for creative types, specifically writers. I have been a writer my whole life and a creative my whole life in various other forms as well. When I was just a little kid, I was kind of one of those weird, friendless kids. I don't know if, your listeners can relate to that, but, lots of imaginary friends and kind of a big internal world. And, as I grew up, I got into music and lots of short stories and poetry and all this and that, and pursued my dreams of being a rock star, which I never quite made it to Madison Square Garden in the top of the charts, but I did have quite a bit of success in other ways. Won a big award, music award, has a million, streams on Spotify and that kind of stuff. And, I recently wrote my book and I've written a bunch of screenplays, one of which I produced and directed myself and was picked up for international distribution. And if you are a, aspiring screenwriter, you know that is a pretty good trick. So some pretty good success with that.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, that sounds like me. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't have friends, but the characters in my head talk to me too. So that's kind of, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, some people, the non-creative folks might think we're a little weird, but yeah, I'll admit that I'm a little weird.
I will too. I say
No,
embrace your weird. And
exactly.
really,
It doesn't have to be a bad thing.
yeah, it's it's part of my coaching is really tuning into your authenticity, who you are, what you're really about, and what others might consider weird. Because guess what? We're all weird in different ways. So some people are just kind of better at hiding it, right? But that doesn't really do you much good in most cases. Because the more we are tuned into who we are and express who we are, the more fully we live our life and the more joy that we experience.
Right. That is so true. So, what inspired you to become a writer of all things?
Well, I do believe it was those voices, or I shouldn't say voices, but those ideas in my head, those people in my head that, you know, were really parts of me. Because really in fiction, anything that you create, and the more authentically you're doing it, these are parts of you, right? So
Right.
creating and expressing through your own truth and your own heart and your own experiences, your own ideas, your own beliefs really is a powerful expression which can help you connect to other people through your writing, both through a writing community and through your readers.
Right. And for those of us, for a lot of my listeners are writers, so and not everybody has their characters talking to them, but yeah, I totally get that. A lot of us will get that. Do you write fiction or?
Yes, I write screenplays. I've written tons of short stories too, but I really haven't done that much recently. But I am big on screenwriting. I love movies, and telling a story that can be translated into a visual format I believe, is a very powerful medium as well.
Oh, wow. So do your characters still talk to you when you do your screenplays? I mean,
Oh yeah, totally. If in my opinion, if you understand your character deep enough, you understand the motivations, where they want to go, their flaws, all the different pieces of them, what they like for breakfast, the whole deal, and you put them in situations together, which is what drama and fiction writing is, they will naturally speak and act in ways that are consistent with their character, because that's what we do as humans, and that's what characters do in our minds. And if you can tap into that and create powerful characters with a powerful desires, right? You will then create an interesting dynamic story.
Right. So, and you said you're into music. Are you a musician yourself, or do you just produce?
I sure am. I play a bunch of instruments and produce. I teach songwriting at a local college here. I've got tons of music out there. So yeah, I've been into the music since I've been a kid.
So, if anyone wants to find your music out there, do they look under your name, Jeff Leisawitz, or?
Well, they can look under my name if they want to find me as a coach, but I have a sort of code name or band name for my music, and that is Electron Love Theory. Electron
Ah,
Love
okay,
Theory. So you
okay.
can go onto Spotify or your favorite streaming service, and there's plenty of stuff there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that was really cool. So, do you also coach authors?
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, I mostly coach authors and again screenwriters, musicians, but I also illustrators. I've got a dancer. I've got a fine artist. I mean, it's all the thing with creativity and moving forward in our creative endeavors. Although these mediums may be different, the struggles are very much the same, right?
Yes.
So, as a coach, I can certainly help you with plot and structure and, characterization and tone and all that kind of stuff. And as a life coach, I help you with, wow, getting out of your comfort zone and creating a powerful system to move forward and understanding your blocks and challenges. And I kind of work on two levels. One is the outer world, which is things like that, defining your bad habits and changing them into what I call superstar habits, things like that. And then the inner world, which is our psychology, because our psychology really drives so much of who we are and what we do. So people have beliefs about the world and identities about themselves, which are built into everyone starting at childhood. And some of these are really positive. If you believe you're smart and charismatic and capable and intelligent, that's great, right? Let's keep that as a psychological basis. But if you believe, when things get hard, it's better to quit, and everybody's out to get me, and I'm not smart enough to do this or talented enough, that is not helpful, right? So as a coach, I kind of go in deep into that, and we just look at that stuff and see if we can tweak some of that to be more powerful and more aligned to your bigger truths and your bigger joys and desires in life.
Oh, wow. I actually like that because, that helps the creative find their best potential. So, in regards to the author life and the author coaching, you've also written a book. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. Not effing around, the no BS guide for getting your creative dreams off the ground. So this is a relatively short book with cartoons in it, by the way. So it's an easy and fast read, and I hope fun read, but it's got some big ideas about creativity and moving forward with your creative dreams. I wrote this because this is the book that I needed to read when I was 20 years old. Okay. Um, in the past, decades of being a musician and a writer and a photographer and a filmmaker, I have banged my head against the wall many, many, many times, as I'm sure all of you out there listening have in various ways. So I wrote this book to help people learn how to not bang their head against those walls so much, right? The world is difficult sometimes, and there's always challenges, but many of them do not really need to be you really don't need to deal with them. So it's a book to help creatives.
Right. And you had some really good pointers in there. Like failure is, oh gosh, what was that you said about failure?
Failure is feedback. As writers, we understand that words are powerful, right? So when you hear the word failure, what does that mean to you, right? It's generally not, doesn't feel very good, and it's not very helpful. However, when you change the word failure to feedback, it changes everything. That means you move towards a goal in your writing or getting published or something like that. and it doesn't happen. Okay, you didn't get to your goal. Instead of calling it failure, let's call it feedback. So you look at the situation and you ask yourself every possible question from every possible angle, so you can, sort of squeeze out the wisdom of what worked and what did not work. What worked is great. What did not work is where the wisdom is, right? That's the honey. So we take that and then we can iterate. We make, we change our approach. We do something different and then we put it out there again. And guess what? You might get some more feedback, right? Feedback / failure is literally the only way to success.
Right. I like that, because you have to learn, you have to make the mistakes to learn from the mistakes. And plus, if you fail at something, especially when it comes to writing, you can always go back and you can edit what you've written. You cannot edit a blank page.
That is true. I like that. That's a good quote. You should put that on your social media.
Yeah. I have a friend who, well, she said, I've heard that so many times, but yeah, I ought to quote that on my social, because that is really good.
That's another part of what I do as a coach, is I help people see their own genius.
Yep. And I love how you said you got to find what you love.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. So do you have any a tip or a piece of advice you'd like to share?
Well, I mean, I'm all about tips and pieces of advice. So, as a writer, the biggest thing I can tell you to do or suggest that you do is first tap into your why. Meaning, why are you writing this piece, this story, this novel, whatever? When you understand what really deeply drives you, you're much more aligned with your passion and you access so much more energy within yourself. Thus, you are more likely to find joy in your creation and create something that you are truly happy with. So understand your why and then just step forward fearlessly.
Wow, I love that. I have a friend who also is a writing coach, and she tells us that all the time in the writing group that we're in with her. She tells us that all the time. So that's why I really love that point. One question, because I found this to be true myself, and I'm sure a lot of listeners do, is your music and writing connected? Like, does music inspire your writing, is what I'm getting at.
Yes, they're definitely both connected. I mean, between all of my art forms, from everything from writing a blog post to a screenplay to working on a song to taking a photograph, all these things are connected in at least one way. And that way is that they're all coming from me, right? Just like anything you create is coming from you. So the more we develop ourselves into being the kind of person that we want to be, into tapping in more deeply to our truth, right? And stepping forward again fearlessly, the more the writing is going to inspire, the music is going to inspire, the photography is going to inspire, the recipe that you're trying out. Like, all of our creative pieces are all connected within us. So that is the nexus. That's where we're it's where it's all coming from.
Wow, I love that, because I find that to be the truth too, because sometimes my fiction can inspire my poetry, etc., etc. So there you go.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Right. So where can people find you online?
Well, the best way to find me is jeffleisawitz.com. Hopefully you can put that, link and
I'll have
spelling
the link
in the show notes.
Yeah.
Right. I'm happy to give complimentary sessions to writers and artists who are interested in really stepping up their game. So you can just look on there for the coaching and just sign up. And I'd love to meet you on a Zoom call and, help you take it to the next level, both in your creativity and in your business, because I sort of work on both levels. We didn't really talk about that too much, but I help
Well,
authors.
we can well, of course, with the creativity comes the business. If you want to if you want to touch on that a little bit before we wrap up.
Sure. So, creating a book or really any piece of writing is in ways just like any other business. So you need to know, just like any big corporation or any business who's really got it going on knows what they're exactly creating and who they're creating it for, essentially who your target market is. Right? If you don't know that, chances are your book is too general. Right? When things are too general, there's way too much competition. So if you can understand who you really want to speak to in your writing, you can then market more specifically to that audience. And when you do that, you're a lot more likely to have sales. So that's just a super brief, bit here, but hopefully that gives people some good ideas.
I do appreciate that. That sounds awesome because that, it's one of those many things I've heard about marketing, but that really puts it in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. One of my core philosophies on creativity and writing is that at its best, stories are a way for us to be seen, expressed, healed, and connected. When we are seen through our writing and we express ourselves through doing it, there's a sense of healing. There's a catharsis. There is a sense of joy, which is also healing, right? We then give our gift of creativity to the world, whether that means the top of the bestsellers or, just somebody else reading your work, right? When we give our gift of creativity to the world, we become the gift because we show others that they can be seen, expressed, healed, and connected. And that turns your work into a much, much, much bigger endeavor. It's not just, oh, I'm writing a book or a blog post or a poem or something. It's like, wow, we are helping to up level the entire world, right? When you think about the books that you've read that you really love, it's because someone is connecting with you through that story. It's helping you feel not so alone, perhaps, in your struggle. Things like that. We all have very different lives, but we all have very common struggles. And that's one of the great things that creativity and writing can do.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Jeff.
Absolutely.
So, we challenge you today to go out there and read to get inspired, write something inspiring, and share your creation with the world. For when you've touched one life, you've touched thousands. Thanks for joining us on Inspirational Journeys, and everyone have a blessed day. Take care.